The recent conflict in Gaza has once again brought the Israeli-Palestinian issue to the forefront of global attention. It is tempting, as with many complex conflicts, to seek simple explanations, to find a single figure upon whom we can place the blame. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas in Gaza, has been cast by some as the primary obstacle to peace. While Sinwar's role is undeniably significant, reducing the conflict to his actions alone is a dangerous oversimplification. The reality is far more nuanced. The conflict in Gaza is a multi-layered crisis with a long and painful history. It is a conflict fueled by decades of occupation, displacement, and mistrust. To understand the current situation, we must move beyond simplistic narratives. We must delve into the internal dynamics of both Hamas and Israel, the fractured Palestinian political landscape, and the role of regional and international actors. This conflict cannot be understood without acknowledging the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The Strip has been under blockade for over a decade, resulting in dire living conditions for its inhabitants. Poverty, unemployment, and a lack of basic necessities are the daily reality for many. This desperate situation creates fertile ground for extremism and makes any prospect of peace even more elusive. Ultimately, achieving a lasting solution requires a commitment to understanding the complexities at play. It demands that we look beyond convenient scapegoats and engage with the multifaceted reality of this enduring conflict. Yahya Sinwar is often portrayed as a hardliner, a man resistant to compromise, steadfast in his beliefs and actions. His history, marked by years spent in Israeli prisons, undeniably shapes his worldview and approach to leadership. Born in a refugee camp in Gaza, Sinwar became involved in the Palestinian resistance movement at a young age, driven by the harsh realities of his upbringing. His involvement led to his arrest and a life sentence in Israel, where he spent over 2 decades, a period that deeply influenced his perspective. Released in a prisoner exchange in 2011, Sinwar rose through the ranks of Hamas, quickly establishing himself as a prominent leader. He became the leader of the organization in Gaza in 2017, a position that solidified his influence and control. Known for his uncompromising stance towards Israel, Sinwar is seen by many as a key figure in the recent escalations of violence, often at the forefront of confrontations. However, it is crucial to remember that he does not operate in a vacuum, and his actions are part of a larger organizational strategy. Within Hamas, Sinwar leads a complex organization with its own internal dynamics and competing voices, each influencing the group's direction. While he may hold significant sway, decisions within Hamas are rarely made unilaterally, reflecting a collective approach to leadership. The organization's structure involves a complex web of internal consultations and consensus building, ensuring that multiple perspectives are considered. Attributing sole responsibility for Hamas's actions to Sinwar ignores the intricate decision-making processes at play, which involve many leaders and factions. Furthermore, focusing solely on Sinwar risks obscuring the broader context of the conflict, which is shaped by numerous factors and actors. It is essential to remember that Hamas is but one actor in this protracted struggle, with various groups and interests at play. While understanding Sinwar's role is important, it is crucial to avoid portraying him as a singular obstacle to peace, as the reality is far more complex. The reality is far more intricate and demands a more nuanced understanding of all the actors involved, each contributing to the ongoing conflict in different ways. Hamas is not a monolithic entity. It is a complex organization with a variety of perspectives and internal dynamics. Within the organization, there are differing viewpoints on how to achieve Palestinian national aspirations, ranging from militant resistance to diplomatic negotiations. These internal divisions play a significant role in shaping Hamas's actions and its approach to negotiations, influencing both its short-term tactics and long-term strategies. Understanding these internal dynamics is essential for comprehending the complexities of the conflict and the varied responses from Hamas. One faction within Hamas, often associated with Yahya Sinwar, advocates for armed resistance against Israel, believing it to be the only effective method. They believe that Israel only understands the language of force and that negotiations are futile without demonstrating strength and resolve. This perspective is rooted in a deep mistrust of Israel and the belief that armed struggle is necessary to achieve liberation. and protect Palestinian rights. In contrast, another faction within Hamas favors a more pragmatic approach, seeking to balance resistance with diplomacy. They recognize the limitations of armed struggle and the heavy toll it takes on the Palestinian people, including loss of life and economic hardship. This group believes that dialogue and negotiation, while challenging and often fraught with setbacks, offer the most realistic path towards achieving Palestinian statehood and lasting peace. These internal divisions within Hamas create a complex decision-making process where consensus is hard to achieve. Decisions are often the result of intense debate and negotiation between these different factions, each with their own vision for the future. The dominance of one faction over the other can shift, depending on the circumstances, further complicating the dynamics within the organization and its policies. The internal divisions within Hamas highlight the challenges of achieving a lasting resolution to the conflict. As unified action is difficult to maintain, any peace process must address the concerns of all factions within Palestinian society, including those who advocate for armed resistance and those who seek diplomatic solutions. Ignoring or suppressing these voices will only perpetuate the cycle of violence and make a sustainable peace even more elusive as the underlying issues remain unresolved. Section 4. Israeli political fragmentation, a barrier to resolution. Just as Hamas grapples with internal divisions, Israel's political landscape is similarly fragmented, posing significant challenges to the peace process. The Israeli political system, characterized by its coalition governments and diverse political parties, often struggles to achieve a unified stance on key issues, particularly when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Over the years, Israeli governments have oscillated between those advocating for a two-state solution and those supporting the expansion of settlements in the West Bank, a policy that directly undermines the viability of a Palestinian state. This lack of consistency and a clear vision for the future of the conflict has created a significant obstacle to meaningful negotiations. Moreover, the rise of right-wing nationalist parties in Israel has further complicated the situation. These parties often reject the very notion of a Palestinian state and advocate for annexation of the West Bank, a move that would effectively end any hope for a two-state solution. Their growing influence within Israeli politics has made it increasingly difficult to advance any peace initiative. The fragmentation within Israeli politics has resulted in a lack of clear leadership and a coherent strategy for resolving the conflict. This political paralysis has created a vacuum, making it easier for extremist voices on both sides to gain traction and perpetuate the cycle of violence. Without a united and determined Israeli government committed to a peaceful resolution, the prospects for a lasting peace remain bleak. Section 5. A House Divided, the Hamas-Palestinian Authority Schism. The Palestinian political landscape is itself deeply divided, further complicating efforts to achieve a lasting peace. This division is not just political but also geographical, social and economic, affecting every aspect of Palestinian life. The enduring rift between Hamas and Fatah, the two main Palestinian factions, has created a significant obstacle to Palestinian unity and a cohesive strategy for ending the conflict. This schism has led to a fragmented leadership, making it difficult to present a united front in peace negotiations. The rivalry between Hamas and Fatah dates back decades, rooted in ideological differences and a struggle for power and influence. These differences have only deepened over time, with each faction developing its own vision for the future of Palestine. Hamas, designated as a terrorist organization by many Western countries, advocates for armed resistance against Israel. Their approach is rooted in a belief that only through force can Palestinian rights be secured and Israeli occupation ended. Fatah, on the other hand, has pursued a more diplomatic approach, engaging in negotiations with Israel. They believe that dialogue and international diplomacy are the keys to achieving a sustainable peace and the establishment of a Palestinian state. This division culminated in 2007 when Hamas seized control of the Gaza Strip, leaving the Palestinian Authority, dominated by Fatah, in control of the West Bank. This event marked a significant turning point, solidifying the split and creating two separate governing entities within Palestinian territories. This geographic and political separation has had devastating consequences for the Palestinian people, hindering economic development and exacerbating humanitarian suffering. The blockade on Gaza and restrictions in the West Bank have led to widespread poverty and limited access to essential services. The lack of unity among Palestinians has undermined their bargaining position in negotiations with Israel. Without a cohesive strategy, it becomes challenging to make significant progress in peace talks, leaving many issues unresolved. It has also allowed Israel to exploit this division, further entrenching its control over Palestinian territories. The ongoing settlement expansion and military presence in Palestinian areas are partly facilitated by the lack of a unified Palestinian response. Without a unified Palestinian front, achieving a just and lasting peace remains a distant prospect. The internal discord weakens the Palestinian cause on the international stage, making it harder to garner global support. Reconciling the Hamas-Fatah divide is essential for any viable peace process. Efforts at reconciliation have been made over the years, but lasting unity remains elusive. It requires both sides to prioritize Palestinian national interests over their own factional agendas. Only through genuine compromise and collaboration can a unified leadership emerge. Until this internal rift is healed, the Palestinian people will continue to pay the price of division, and the conflict will persist. The future of Palestine hinges on the ability of its leaders to bridge this divide and work together for the common good.